Representative Mainor, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you giving us the time.
I'm happy to be here.
So I want to start with this. You filed a lawsuit. Among those named were District Attorney Fani Willis, as well as Commissioner Marvin Arrington. Given that these acts in this lawsuit, the alleged acts, happened in 2019, why are you deciding to bring the lawsuit now?
I've been trying for a really long time to get justice, and I am still being stalked. Just this year, I tried to get my restraining order extended because my stalker was putting pictures of himself only at the end of my driveway. So literally, if you were to go down my driveway, you're going to see his sign right there. And it's there. His signs are nowhere else. When I went to my mom's house, his sign was right there in front of her street. And when I tried to get the restraining order extended, the judge said since he's running for office, that would be violating his rights. So it's an ongoing matter, and I wouldn't be dealing with it this late in the game if the district attorney did what she was supposed to do and hold him to have some sort of accountability. Because right now, I feel like he just thinks he can do whatever he wants to do towards me.
And to be clear, this is Corin Monson who we're talking about.
It is.
Taking a look at the timeline of the alleged actions by Mr. Monson, the lawsuit states that this started in 2019 after he was let go from your team. Given that these acts started before DA Fani Willis got into office, why name her in this case?
So when the case first started, Paul Howard indicted the first case. That was before his attorney was Marvin Arrington. This was in September of 2019. Shortly, or are the dates wrong? No, September 2020. And shortly after September 2020, he obtained the services of Commissioner Arrington. And if you were to listen to the jail calls, Commissioner Arrington is saying on the jail calls, Fani is about to get in. I've already let her know what's going on. So she never told the court that she was having these conversations with Commissioner Arrington prior to taking on my case. She could have conflicted herself out. And after that, it was a series of missteps. For the Crime Victims Bill of Rights, you're supposed to be notified of hearings. You're supposed to be involved. It's only certain crimes for that. Repeatedly, I have an email trail. I have a lot of documentation. This is not a lawsuit that is flimsy. I have 6 years worth of documentation and asking, pleading, please let me know when these court hearings are. The problem is somebody does not tell a stalking victim or someone with domestic violence that they have a court hearing. The judge doesn't hear the victim's side and can easily just take the defendant's side. So that's why it's so important. The other thing is part of Marcy's law, which is the Bill of Rights for victims. You must notify the victim of plea deals. That is stipulated. After they spoke to the attorney, gave the attorney, his new attorney, the plea deal, and it was finalized, they came to me and said, oh, we decided to give him a plea deal. I expressed my concern that I did not agree with it. And in addition to that, what about my rights? Because you're supposed to discuss that with me first. And pretty much the response was, it's done. It's nothing, it's done, it's over. They went into explaining how lawyers, I guess, once you give someone a plea deal or an agreement, you can't renege on it. I don't know the details of that, but that was the way they presented it. And at that point, I pretty much said, so you're going to go by the rights of my defendant's attorney instead of mine, and you're supposed to be representing me as the victim. In addition to that, he continued to violate the restraining order, and they continued to not do anything about it. If you don't know the process, you're going to do what they tell you to do, right? They said, if he does something, let us know. Every single time I emailed them, told them all the details, no response. Or, oh, that's not stalking. And this is why the lawsuit is now. It's a series of things, and I just never got help.
And did you have a lawyer at that time, or were you navigating this on your own?
Initially, I was navigating it on my own, and I eventually obtained the services of an attorney.
So at the time, just to be clear, you did not really understand the legal jargon leading into it?
Absolutely not. I went down to the Fulton County courthouse. There's an area for victims that you go when you seek help. And so they have a Fulton County advocate, which, I want to say on camera that the Fulton County victim advocates are amazing. If it weren't for them, I would not have known the resources that were supposed to be given to me. I would not have known that he was being released on unbondable charges. It was the Fulton victims advocate that really helped me in the beginning.
Now, we did reach out to the DA's office. This was on Tuesday. Jeff DeSantis with the DA's office sent us a statement saying, quote, Representative Mainor's allegations are baseless. We have not been served with the lawsuit. If we are confident it will be dismissed. What is your response to that statement?
I would not expect them to say she's absolutely right. So it's a expected response.
We are in an election year in 2024. Cohen Monson, who is your alleged stalker, he is also campaigning, but you said he is among 4 Democrats that are competing to try to eventually go against you in November. DA Fani Willis is also campaigning. So given the timing of this lawsuit, some might see this as a political ploy to tarnish the reputation of your opponents. Is this a political play?
This is about safety for me and my children. And we initially tried to file the lawsuit in February, March, but Fulton County had their cyber attack. This is where we are. We would not be here if they protected me from the very beginning. So as the victim, I could care less about any of those people that you named. He never had to join my church. He never had to follow me. He never had to do all the different things that he did to me. There would not be a lawsuit if after the campaign, he just left me alone. There would not be a lawsuit if Fani Willis would have done her job. You cannot be on the ballot as a felon. You have to get your rights restored. That takes a couple of years to do that. He just finished probation a few months ago. So if his rights are restored, that means someone in a political office helped him to get his rights restored, which again, if that's true, I have no idea. That is someone in a higher up Democratic position using their influence to get him on the ballot to further stalk me. Another thing I want to say that's very important for Fulton women in particular, canvassing campaign software. Democrats use a program called Vote Builder. It literally, you can filter and say, I only want to know where all the women that are 20 to 30 live. And it'll be GPS tracking system to their house. That's what the Georgia Democratic Party of Georgia needs to be thinking about. Why would you give someone that served 1 year in jail for aggravated stalking, is a felon on the record for aggravated stalking? Why would you give him GPS information while he's on probation still? That really is a concern. I want to make sure the women out there know that that is what's going on right now.
Thank you. I want to continue to talk about the race last year, you decided to switch from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party. You've been very vocal about the treatment of your colleagues when you were a Democrat. You said that you were pushing for things in safety in the communities, better grades in school, and you've seen a lack of progress as a Democrat. If no progress was made when you were a Democrat, what do you think switching to the Republican Party is going to do to push that progress in a district that is predominantly Democrat?
That answer is multifold, and I'll tell you why. There's a majority and there's a minority. There's no in between. And if you have more numbers, the things that my community needs, I'll be able to better advocate for them in the majority party. This year, I got a bill passed, HB 1165, which helps the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. That is $7.4 million that is going to communities for gun violence prevention. I would not have been carrying that bill most likely if I was a Democrat. The Republicans have helped me from the very beginning. So you're right. I got a lot of things done as a Democrat, but that was solely because of the help of the Republicans. Many of the bills that I had as a Democrat, the Democrats were against it. One, for example, the United Campus Police Safety Act. I can't remember the bill number, but allowing police officers on Spelman, Morehouse, Clark, Morris Brown's campus to intermingle. Now they can do that. They couldn't do that before. And what does that mean? If there's a crime happening on Morehouse's campus, before they could not do anything, a Spelman police officer would not be able to handle the crime that they saw on Morehouse's campus. Now they can cross campuses. The Democrats were against that bill.
Do you feel, because you have called yourself a moderate, a centrist, but now on the Republican side, in order to get bills passed here in Georgia, you don't necessarily need to reach across the aisle because the Republicans have the majority of the House. But do you see some policy where you will be able to, as a moderate, as a centrist, to reach across the aisle and agree with Democrats to get some things done? If so, what are they?
They have to present those ideas first. They haven't presented the ideas. So I would, though, if it benefits my community, then I'm going to do anything I need to further the efforts of the people that I serve.
Would you say that was one of the big reasons you wanted to switch to the Republican Party, was because the Republicans in Georgia are able to get things done because they have majority control?
There were a lot of things happening in the Democratic Party that I just fundamentally did not agree with. And I think that might be hard for people to understand, because what's happening with Michigan Democrats or what's happening with Florida Democrats is going to be different than what's happening with Georgia Democrats. What's happening at the Capitol is going to be different than what's happening at the Board of Commissioners. So in the setting that I was in, I fundamentally should not have been there to serve the people that elected me. I can do what I need to do for them as a Republican.
That brings me to my next question. You have said that your constituents voted for you, not the quote alphabet next to your name.
Yes.
Are you confident as a Republican, come November, your constituents are going to stand beside you and reelect you for office?
I am 100% confident. Every single day, I am still getting messages from constituents that are saying, thank you so much. There was a group that was still on the fence, because some people, especially Black people, you're born into being a Democrat. You know nothing except being a Democrat. They were really, they liked me as their representative, but it was really hard for them to understand, just this one group. Well, what does that mean since you're a Republican? And this past weekend, they texted me and said, okay, I'm voting across the ballot.
What do you think led them to say that?
I think because, well, actually, I'll tell you why they said that. They said you answer people's calls, you get things done, people can count on you, and it doesn't make sense for us to go with somebody else, and we don't know what they're going to provide.
I do want to ask you about that. And we do know that Black voters, they are not a monolithic group. Black people have their own mind and they can vote how they want. But historically, at least in Fulton County, Black voters have gone Democrat. Both the Biden and the Trump administration, they are campaigning hard for that Black vote in Fulton County because it could be a determining factor on who wins the state here. Come November, are you pushing for more Black voters to vote Republican?
I think since Black people are not a monolith and we are so different, we are the minority in this country, we really cannot be in a position where we're only going to vote for one party. And so for Black people to further their agenda, we really need to be in both parties. We're doing ourselves a disservice by not even being at the table on the other side. You don't even know what they're saying. What we know right now is what's happening at the top level, right? Everybody is concerned about what's happening at the top of the ticket, of the Republican ticket. But I say to the people listening, the Democrats, in my district or not, that are Black in particular, look around your neighborhood. Has a Republican ever served you? If a Republican has never served you, why does your community look like that? What have your Democrat leaders not done for you? What resources are you not getting? Because if they're in that position, this is a Democrat city. We can't say that a Republican did anything if Republicans are not in control in the city.
So would you say that by now being on the Republican side and having a seat at that table with the Republicans, you're going to be able to bring more change to your district than you did with the Democrats?
Absolutely. I gave the example of the $7.4 million for gun violence prevention. I passed several bills. One of the things that will be happening this summer that I'm really excited about, this west side of Atlanta that I represent, this is the community that I was born and raised in. My mom went to Turner High School. She works with the National Turner Alumni Association. We're very rooted in this community. But also in this community, a lot of people don't know that Martin Luther King Jr. died in this community. A lot of people just think about Martin Luther King on Auburn Avenue, but he raised his family on the west side of Atlanta. And with that being said, there's so much civil rights history that no one knows about on the west side. So I am going to be doing a civil rights history archive solely for the people on this side of town. This would not be possible unless the leadership said, you know what, I think that's a great idea. And if your community says that they want that, then you need to have it.
Absolutely. I want to talk about your race in November. We did speak on it a little bit, but I mean, realistically, you're taking a look at this. It's going to be an uphill battle. We're talking about Fulton County. It is very, very blue. You have a leader of your party at the state level and the national level that Democrats just do not agree with. How are you planning to fight that battle?
Politics is local. So knocking on people's doors, calling them, filtering their requests when they call for help. That's how I win an election. Is it going to be hard? Absolutely. Do I think it's going to be easy? No. After the primary, when I actually know who my opponent will be, that is really when things will kick in. So right now, it's hard for me to run a race when I don't know who I'm going to be running against. So we're looking forward to May 22nd, or it might be June if it goes into a runoff.
In the past, you've called yourself an urban conservative. What is an urban conservative?
is a term that I just came up with, and I'll tell you why. I am conservative. Prior to getting into politics, I didn't know the political terms that people use. People started calling me a moderate. That's when I found out I was a moderate and a centrist. I did not know that that's what I was. I just thought I was a Democrat. But as I worked within the Democrat Party and saw the policies that they were doing, I realized I may be a conservative. And with that being said, I'm in an urban community. Most people associate conservative people with people in the suburbs, in the mountains, or rural Georgia. Black people are not supposed to be conservatives. But what I have found is that many Black people are conservatives. We absolutely care about our families. We absolutely want to put God first. We absolutely want the best for our kids' education, and we're going to put that before a system. We're going to put children before systems. And so I came up with the term urban conservative because I am the first Black woman in the Georgia General Assembly that's a Republican. And so this is a new term for a new era of what's about to happen.
Thank you for that. I want to talk about, I know that this is a local election, but everybody in November, they are going to have to pick a person at the top of the ticket. Your nominee is Donald Trump, who has been in Fulton County. There's a lot of news about him in Fulton County. As a member of the Republican Party, my first question, do you believe that Joe Biden won the election in 2020?
I do believe Joe Biden won the election.
Thank you. As a member of the Republican Party, will you vote for Donald Trump in November?
I am going to vote for the person that I want to vote for, and I will leave it at that. When people walk into the booth, they are in there making a personal decision. So when the people in my district go in that booth, they don't have to tell anybody who they're voting for. Do I absolutely support the Republican ticket? Yes. Who I'm going to vote for is my business. And I'm encouraging people to vote from the bottom up. You know, people are going to get really mad if they start at the top because people don't want Biden and some people don't want Trump. And the things that impact you the most are at the bottom of the ticket. So start at the bottom of the ticket because that is a really important piece to everybody's day-to-day life. Start there, work yourself up.
Would you endorse Donald Trump for president this year?
I don't think that works for my community. You know, there are some things that I know are a no-go in my community. And what it takes for me is to show them the things that I can do for them as their state representative in the majority party on the Republican side. You know, what happens at the federal level, it doesn't trickle down into the community, right? What happens at the state, what happens at city council, what happens at the county commissioner's office is what's important. Donald Trump or Biden is not looking at sidewalks. Donald Trump or Biden, they're not looking at how much your food and your rent costs. So local is most important.
I want to push back on that just a little bit because there are some issues at the federal level, such as the bipartisan infrastructure law that do trickle down and money is sent to different different neighborhoods. Let's say that. And that funding it goes to the state, and then that is able to go to the different neighborhoods. So when you do kind of look overall, if you do have a Republican in power who might be more willing to pass federal legislation for programs that you're pushing for, would you not want that person in there?
Oh, yes. So when a Republican is president, that gives me an opportunity to speak directly to that president about what I need in my district. If I'm a Democrat and the president is a Republican, I am so far down on the totem pole. So this I mean, you're absolutely right. You know, it can be an even larger amount of funding coming to the community.
Come November, on the ballot, there are going to be, I mean, really from now heading to November, you're going to see commercials, you're going to see all these different policies that some people in your neighborhood might not agree with, especially when we're coming to the issues of abortion, maybe immigration, safety, that some people may or may not agree with, the defunding the police, things like that. When you're talking about different policy issues that Republicans are pushing for, that Democrats might not necessarily go for, how do you communicate that effectively to your constituents to say, hey, I hear you, but I think you should still vote for me, even though my party supports these issues that you don't agree with?
I think the issues that are hot right now, if you will, that the Republicans are pushing, Democrats actually support those things. So one of the things you mentioned was illegal immigration. People need resources. And people feel like if you are immigrating here illegally, why are you getting more resources than I'm getting? That is community conversation. So they don't believe in illegal immigration. They are absolutely against that. You can go ask anybody in my district. They do not believe in illegal immigration. Another instance, defund the police. That was an issue that was said by the Democrats just the other day. A group in my district were in Vine City gathering saying, we need more police officers here. We need more law enforcement. So my district is not, they don't want to defund the police. So these are Republican ideals. The school choice bill. My district has the most charter schools than any other district in the entire state of Georgia. The people in my community want the best for their kids. You know, there's a group, of course, that doesn't believe in that. But the overwhelming majority of people that have children in schools where only 2 to 3% are reading at grade level, they absolutely want an opportunity for something else for their child.
Thank you. My final question for you, you are running a race to be reelected to the State House. But what are your aspirations ahead of that? Do you have aspirations to potentially go to Washington at all, or maybe even a governor's run in the future?
My aspiration, honestly, is to do what God wants me to do. I came into this position because I was convicted to do it. And oftentimes I'm having quiet conversations and prayer saying, this is not really the best place for me mentally to be. And I considered stepping down from the very beginning because my first year in office, that first term, that was brutal. I did not know people could be so nasty and so mean. I wanted to quit, but God did not lead me down the path to quit. When it came time to campaign for my second election, again, the same thing. It's like, Lord, what else? You know, what else is there for me? And the answer was not quit. This is what I want you to do. And for me, people have to have discernment on their direction. And God has not led me astray in anything that I've done. So I'm going where he wants me to go.
Amen. I do have one more question for you that I want to just get your take on. Our country has become increasingly divided. Everything is politicized. It's about picking sides, right, for a lot of people. But in reality, to get things done, you have to work together. Sometimes not. But what is your take on bringing the country together, reunifying, and not having people dish it out at and it starts at the top in Washington and then trickles down to different communities and people having, not talking to family members over politics, which has been going on for some time now. But in today's age, we're back up. I mean, it's a tipping point for a lot of people. So what is your message to voters, and what is your take on that?
I'm going to give an example of my mom. My mom has some strong opinions about Republicans. She's learning, right? She is learning what some of their policies are now through me, and she agrees with them. We were at an event. It was her first Republican event, and the governor mentioned men going into the girls' bathroom. It was so funny because the room was quiet, and she was like, "Oh my God." That was a policy that she just did not know was even a thing that we were debating, right? The other thing I want to say is, and I'm still going to use my mom as an example. I asked her, "Why are you so mad at Trump?" And she said, "I just can't stand him." You know, she was getting agitated. "I just don't like him." And I said, "Do you think he knows you? What do you think he thinks about you?" "That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. I just don't like him. He's doing this and he's doing that." And I said, "Well, what in particular did he do that impacts you, that you know, did he stop you from doing something?" She couldn't name anything, right? And she said, "The world is so divided." She said, "Since he got into office, the world is more divided." She was like, "When I wake up in the morning, I'm jumping up to look at my phone to see if the world is about to end." And I said, "Mama, you need to stop putting that much attention into Trump. You don't have to wake up in the morning and do that. You can make a choice to think about much more lovely things to you. If you don't like Trump, why are you going towards that?" And so my message to people is, and to answer your question, you don't have to be focused on things that you feel are detrimental to you. I don't think that is a healthy way to live. You know, things that I don't like, I just move on to the things that I do like. Now, you still have to deal with those things.
I was going to say, well, what if those things are directly impacting your community or somebody that you know? Maybe it's not directly impacting you, but if you're talking about, let's talk about a big one, gun safety bills. Mm-hmm. If you feel that that has directly impacted you, if you live in a neighborhood where people are dying by gunfire every night and people have these lived experiences, that's something that you can't ignore.
I'm going to agree with you because I have friends that have lost their children to gun violence. I have a friend that just moved here from Chicago. She lost her son to a brutal shooting. I get that, but I also know that although she wants to support gun violence prevention, she also is in a space where she has to make herself happy. She's in a space where she cannot be just so agitated. And so how do you fix an undivided world if internally there's chaos? You know, if it's chaos inside of you, it's chaos coming out of you. You can be passionate about things that you want to be passionate about, but it doesn't have to come from a space of chaos. So, message, dig deeper into your faith. I think, honestly, that this is a distraction from God. We are not focused on God. Atheism is going up, and this is where the conservative piece comes in for me. Atheism is going up, and people are going to church less and less, and families are not spending time together. Children are not talking to each other. They're just on their phones. I think people need to go back to how things were to some degree and get a sense of themselves. I think that there's just a lot of chaos going on in the world.
Representative Mainor, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.